Hi, this is Denise, reading to you the Wednesday, October 15th, 2025 edition of the New Bedford Standard Times. We begin with the weather. Today, partly sunny and breezy, a high of 65 with a low of 41. On Thursday, partly sunny, breezy, and cooler, a high of 54 with a low of 39. On Friday, mostly sunny, a high of 59 with a low of 38. On Saturday, times of sun and clouds, a high of 61 with a low of 48. And on Sunday, partly sunny and pleasant, a high of 71 with a low of 57. In the lottery, the numbers game for Tuesday, October 14th, midday, 1344. Again, 1344. The numbers game evening drawing for Tuesday, October 14th, 0323. Again, 0323. On the front page, Rhode Island couple dies in plane crash by Frank Mulligan and Dan Medeiros, The Standard Times, USA Today Network, Dartmouth. Monday's fiery plane crash on Interstate 195 in Dartmouth claimed the lives of a Rhode Island couple. Pilot Thomas Perkins, 68, and his wife Agatha Perkins, 66, of Middletown, Rhode Island, were killed when their plane went down on the Dartmouth Highway, Bristol County District Attorney Thomas Quinn confirmed Monday afternoon. They were located with apparent injury in the fuselage and were pronounced dead on the scene, he said in a press release. One motor vehicle, a silver Hyundai Sonata, was impacted by a portion of the crashed aircraft. The driver, an adult woman, was transported to a local hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. A 3-mile stretch of both eastbound and westbound I-195 was closed most of the day Monday, October 13th, after the small single-engine plane crashed near the Reed Road exit in Dartmouth at about 8:15 a.m. during a nor'easter. On Tuesday morning, the left eastbound lane of I-195 in the Reed Road area remained closed, and Massachusetts State Police were on the scene. The National Transportation Safety Board announced they were sending investigators to Dartmouth, and the Federal Aviation Authority is expected to investigate the accident. Who were Thomas and Agatha Perkins? Thomas Perkins and his wife Agatha Kirby Perkins were longtime residents of Middletown and were active in the community, volunteering for local causes and donating to the Aquanac Island Land Trust. Perkins and her brother-in-law, Jerry Kirby, were partners in Kirby Perkins Construction of Middletown, an award-winning firm that has performed historic restoration and preservation work on historic mansions of Newport. Perkins joined the firm in 1987 as a foreman and estimator, becoming a partner a decade later. The firm has been a member of the National Trust for Historic Preservation, the Preservation Society of Newport County, the Association for Preservation Technology, the Newport Historical Society, and the American Institute of Conservators. Agatha Perkins, known as Aggie, was certified personal trainer and Pilates and yoga instructor. What's the status of I-195 in Dartmouth? Both sides of I-195 were shut down for much of the day October 13th between exits 19 and 22. The Reed Road and Fonts Corner Road exits by Monday afternoon, the Massachusetts State Police and federal investigators had reopened all of I-195 except the leftmost eastbound lane. Troopers will remain at the site overnight to ensure the integrity of the scene until federal investigators arrive to conduct their investigation tomorrow. Motorists should take care when navigating around the crash site, according to the Massachusetts State Police. Please do not attempt to capture photos or video of the crash scene, either in motion or on the edge of the road. Continues the statement, we remind motorists that it is illegal in Massachusetts to use any electronic devices with your hands while operating a motor vehicle. It is also illegal to stop on the highway outside of an emergency circumstance. We deeply appreciate the public's cooperation to refrain from these behaviors and ensure the safety of the roadway. What occurred when the plane crashed in Dartmouth? At approximately 8:15 a.m., a fixed-wing airplane crashed on the median of Interstate 195 west in Dartmouth. The crash resulted in a fire on the ground just before the Reed Road exit. Upon arrival, first responders located a fixed-wing single-engine Cicada TBM 700 that crashed in the woodline of 195 West prior to Reed Road, said Quinn. Parts of the aircraft were located in the wood line and the fuselage was located in the median of the highway. State police said one person on the ground who suffered non-life-threatening injuries was transported in a passenger car to St. Luke's Hospital in New Bedford. The plane is owned by Easton Air LLC, according to the FAA registration. Was New Bedford Air Traffic Control staffed? Jonathan Darling, New Bedford Public Information Officer, said New Bedford Regional Airport's air traffic control was fully staffed and that it had not been affected by the partial government shutdown. New Bedford, which hosts flights from Cape Air, has 2 runways, including one that is 5,400 feet long, said Airport Manager Scott Service in a previous interview with the Standard Times. Scott Service, New Bedford Regional Airport Manager, released the following statement at about 3 p.m. Monday. Flight N111RF departed from New Bedford Regional Airport at 8:08 a.m. this morning with a destination of Kenosha, Wisconsin. Decisions to depart or land are made by the carrier or the pilot in the case of a private aircraft. New Bedford Regional Airport's authority to prevent or cancel arrivals or departure is limited to instances in which the runways are deemed unsafe for takeoffs or landing. This typically occurs when the airport will temporarily close to remove snow and reopen once the runways are clear. This morning, the runways were clear and the air traffic control tower was staffed at normal levels. What we know about the investigation. Jonathan Darling, New Bedford Public Information Officer, said the plane took off from New Bedford Regional Airport on Monday morning. Massachusetts State Police say preliminary information indicates the plane may have been attempting to land at New Bedford Regional Airport. State Police also said it does not appear the pilot provided the airport with a flight plan or the number of people aboard the aircraft. Flight tracker websites show the plane may have been scheduled to fly from New Bedford to Kenosha, Wisconsin, which is on the shores of Lake Michigan between Milwaukee and the state line with Illinois. However, this information is unconfirmed and may be unreliable. Troopers assigned to the Bristol County State Police Detective Unit Crime Scene Services Section and Field Services responded to the scene along with New Bedford and Fall River Police, Fire, and EMS. Dartmouth Fire Department said Federal Aviation Administration FAA was en route to do the investigation. Darling added the National Transportation Safety Board was also heading to the crash scene for the investigation. When the Standard Times SouthCoastToday.com inquired as the investigation, the FAA responded, due to a lapse in funding, the FAA is not responding to a routine media inquiries. Mayor offers condolences. New Bedford Mayor John Mitchell said in his statement, I extend my heartfelt condolences to the families and loved ones of those who lost their lives in this morning's tragic plane crash in North Dartmouth. The National Transportation Safety Board will be responsible for the investigation to determine the cause of the incident, which officials at the New Bedford Regional Airport are prepared to support. I appreciate the swift and skillful response by New Bedford's emergency responders, as well as the Massachusetts State Police and other state and municipal officials. I am grateful that the crash miraculously did not result in serious injuries to motorists on Interstate 195. What we know about the plane. According to unconfirmed reports, the flight may have been scheduled to fly from New Bedford to Kenosha, Wisconsin. The plane was an SOCATA TBM 700 fixed-wing single-engine turboprop plane. It was manufactured in 2003 and was registered to the Air Charity Network, according to Flight Aware information. Angel Flight Northeast confirmed that it did not have a flight scheduled out of New Bedford Monday morning. We are saddened to hear of the accident in Dartmouth and will continue to send our best wishes to those involved. Angel Flight Central did not have volunteer pilots or aircraft assisting passengers into Kenosha, Wisconsin today, according to a statement from Brendan Snegas, CEO, Executive Director of Angel Flight Central. So we can confirm it was not an AFC passenger or pilot. Like so many, we too anxiously stand by for additional details. Air Charity Network is a charitable organization that provides access for people in need who are seeking free transportation to specialized healthcare facilities or distant destinations due to family, community, or national crisis. The next front page story. Counselor Incumbents Outraising Candidates by Frank Mulligan, The Standard Times, USA Today Network. The amount of campaign cash counselor at-large candidates have at their disposal ranges from $62,000 to a little over $25,000. As they head into the home stretch to determine the top 5, the at-large council candidates reported the following balances in their campaign chest to the State Office of Campaign and Political Finance as of a reporting period from September 1st to September 30th. They are from most to least. Incumbent Ian Abreu beginning balance was $62,000 with no receipts raised during that period. There was $584 spent, leaving a balance of $61,000 year to date. Abreu has $10,808 in receipts and $9,447 in expenditures. Abreu won the preliminary election with 2,299 votes. Incumbent Shane A. Burgo beginning balance was $2,900, including $699 raised during that period. There was $2,782 spent, leaving a balance of $8,144 year to date. Burgo has $9,500 in receipts and $7,500 in expenditures. Burgo came in second in the preliminary election with 1,910 votes. Incumbent Naomi R.A. Carney beginning balance was $4,900, including 20 cents in receipts during that period. There was $362 spent, leaving a balance of $4,500 year to date. Carney has $2 in receipts and $2,500 in expenditures. Carney came in seventh in the preliminary election with 1,403 votes. James Roy beginning balance was $4,300, including $2,800 raised during that period. There was $832 spent, leaving a balance of $3,400 year to date. Roy has $6,900 in receipts and $3,400 in expenditures. Rory came in fifth in the preliminary election with 1,642 votes. Incumbent Brian K. Gomes beginning balance was $3,200, including $1,400 raised during that period. There were $209 spent, leaving a balance of $3,000. Year to date, Gomes has $3,000 in receipts and $734 in expenditures. Gomes came in third in the preliminary election with 1,734 votes. Devin B. Burns' beginning balance was $3,900, including $3,400 raised during that period. There was $1,000 spent, leaving a balance of $2,800 year to date. Burns has $3,800 in receipts and $1,500 in expenditures. Burns came in fourth in the preliminary election with 1,644 votes. Jennifer A. Arruda beginning balance was $325, including $325 raised during that period. There was 26 cents spent, leaving a balance of $325. Year to date, Arruda has $325 in receipts and 26 cents in expenditures. Arruda came in sixth in the preliminary election with 1,406 votes. Sean P. Mulvey beginning balance was $450, including $400 raised during that period. There was $318 spent, leaving a balance of $131 year to date. Mulvey has $1,452 in receipts and $1,321 in expenditures. Mulvey came in 10th in the preliminary election with 787 votes. Scott Lima, beginning balance was $25. There were no receipts during that period. There were no expenditures during that period, leaving a balance of $25. Year to date, Lima has no receipts and $1,015 in expenditures. Lima came in 8th in the preliminary election with 1,241 votes. Christopher Cotter had not reported to the OCPF by press time. He said he made no expenditures. Cotter came in 9th in the preliminary election with 1,227 votes. Linda Murad, who is not seeking re-election this year, has the second most campaign cash on hand, though she didn't have any fundraisers in 2025. Murad beginning balance was $30,000, including $1.31 in receipts during that period. There was $1,000 spent, leaving a balance of $45,000. That includes a savings balance of $15,000 year to date. Murad had $11.71 in receipts and $2,710 in expenditures. Murad has no immediate plans for the money. OCPF regulations prohibit using leftover campaign funds for personal expenses. Among the uses allowed are saving the money for a future run, for office, making donations to charity, contributing to the state or local government, creating a scholarship fund, and contributing to a political party or other candidate. Murad said she didn't have any immediate plans for the money. I'm able to hold on to the money in case I decide to run for another office, or I could donate it to local charities. At this point, I've made no decisions, she said. We've reached the halfway point of today's reading of the New Bedford Standard Times, dated Wednesday, October 15th. It's time for the obituaries. Thomas Mendel of New Bedford. Thomas Mendel, 82, of New Bedford, passed away Friday, October 3rd. At St. Luke's Hospital after a long period of decline. He was the loving husband of 58 years to Barbara Mendel. Also, he was the son of John D. Mendel and Claire Shirtliff Mendel. Prior to recent years, Tom lived the majority of his life in Fairhaven. He was a true Fairhavennite. Tom was appointed the first Fairhaven Recreation Director in 1968 and was responsible for West Island Beach and Summer Park program. Tom was well suited for his career as a sixth grade teacher. He learned that doing yo-yo tricks and juggling were a way to get students' attention. He also enjoyed teaching chess to his students. Arrangements are by the Fairhaven Funeral Home, 117 Main Street, Fairhaven. For a memorial register, please visit hathawayfunerals.com. A celebration of life will be held at Reservation Golf Club on Saturday, November 1st from 1 to 4 p.m. Back to our stories. No Kings rallies are planned for area by Emily Sherney, The Herald News. Millions will come together in civic friendship and solidarity on October 18th to make it clear to Donald Trump, we don't do kings or dictators in America, said Kevin Costa, 8 years, a Massachusetts State Democratic Committeeman for the 1st Bristol and Plymouth districts. No Kings rallies debuted on June 14th with more than 2,000 cities holding volunteer-organized protests, including throughout the South Coast. The coordinated political action events have mobilized millions and are planned in opposition to President Donald J. Trump's administration. Costa, who is hosting the No Kings 2 rally in Fall River, said the protest is scheduled to kick off at noon on Saturday, October 18th, and run until 2 p.m. Those in attendance are asked to gather on public sidewalks and grassy areas at the intersection of Amity Street and William S. Canning Boulevard. Videos and blog postings on the No Kings website provide protesters with insights for how to remain safe at a rally or how to look up the location of a register for a local event. An interactive map highlights where and when other No Kings events are occurring nationwide. Gearing up for another rally. In the greater New Bedford area, there are several rallies planned for Saturday, October 18th. Noon to 2 p.m., intersection of Route 6 and Fons Corner Road in Dartmouth. Noon to 2 p.m., Buttonwood Park, Rockdale Avenue side of the park, New Bedford. Noon to 2 p.m., pedestrian overpass, 1350 Purchase Street in New Bedford. Noon to 3 p.m., 38 North Street in Mattapoisett. Noon to 2 p.m., Main Road and Hicksbridge, Westport. 11:30 to 1 p.m., Memorial Town Hall, 54 Marion Road, Wareham, and alluding to the impact of these rallies have on community members seeking to have their voices heard, Costa pointed to First Amendment rights that some believe have been tenuously applied by Trump's administration. Costa, who calls himself a political scientist, said he's lived in countries, including Portugal, that were democratizing after decades of dictatorship. What I have learned is that dictators don't want people to be friends. They want people to fear each other, to not trust each other, to inform on and betray each other. That's how dictators divide and conquer, he said. No Kings event in June drew hundreds across the South Coast. Protests were spread throughout southeastern Massachusetts from Attleboro to Cape Cod on June 14th. In a chilly summer drizzle, protesters named immigration and customs enforcement arrests of undocumented immigrants under Trump, cuts to Medicaid, what they perceive as growing authoritarianism by the president, the erosion of civil rights for women and for gay people, as grievances that motivated their attendance. In the days leading up to the summertime round of No Kings events, Trump had said, protesters are people that hate our country. The next story. Taunton man dies after being crushed at scrap metal yard. The Herald News USA Today Network. A Taunton man has died after suffering a crushing injury while at work at Mid-City Scrap in Westport. According to the Bristol County District Attorney's Office at 11:10 a.m. on Friday, October 10th, Westport EMS responded to a medical call at the 548 State Road Scrap Yard. First responders found Mark Peters, 49, of Taunton, suffering from a crushing injury to his lower extremities, the DA's office said. Peters was hospitalized where he was pronounced dead shortly after. Westport Police, Massachusetts State Police assigned to the DA's office, and a safety and health officer from the Occupational Safety and Health Administration responded to the scene. The DA's office said the incident is being investigated but does not appear to be suspicious. Naked bicyclists ride to protest Trump policy by Suzette Hackney, USA Today, Portland, Oregon. It's a typical fall Sunday afternoon here, locals say, dreary and wet. Temperatures hover in the low 50s, but the cold rain brings a chill to the core. Parents clinging to their coffee cups for warmth push their children in strollers during breaks in the downpours. Friends are held up in bars near downtown watching NFL games and sharing laughs over brunch plates. Every town USA, some might say football friends and family. But at the Oregon Convention Center Plaza, things look a bit different. A piece of Portland is in protest mode. Hundreds of people gather to cruise the city on bikes in the cold rain while naked. Bits and pieces everywhere. Organizers of the World Naked Bike Ride scheduled an emergency ride on October 12th to bring global attention to President Donald Trump's plans to deploy National Guard troops to the city. There were speeches from local organizers and activists leading the crowd of young and old in chants. Riders who were full or naked mingled with those in clear ponchos, underwear, and some topless, other bottomless. There was whimsy, of course, costumes of cartoon characters and puffy pigs, leopard outfits, costume masks, and fuzzy hats. If their naked bodies weren't message enough, the protesters' signs made quite clear their intent, and many riders wore their messages painted on their naked body. End occupation, end deportation. No one is illegal on stolen land. Kick yourself out, you're an immigrant too. We're cold, but not as cold as ice. Skin color is not probable cause. Trump has a narrative about this place. Portland is filled with Antifa and the radical left anarchists, as he calls them. There have been clashes outside of the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement facility in Portland in recent weeks. Residents at the rallies don't want ICE agents rounding up fellow Portlanders. They don't approve of the heavy-handed approach to deportation. They don't want to live in a militarized state of existence among National Guard troops. And they rode out to the ICE facility nearly 4 miles to continue their protests naked and unafraid. The people are willing to be vulnerable and stand up for something they believe in, artist Tyler Wolters, 35, said, while rocking a blockhead yellow cartoonish costume that read, "I'm here to party." Wolters was wearing one thing below the waist, flip-flops. Protesting is peaceful, and we are showcasing that, he said. A federal judge has blocked Trump's efforts to deploy troops twice. This country has a long-standing and foundational tradition of resistance to government outreach, especially in the form of military intrusion into civil affairs. U.S. District Judge Karen Immergut, who has appointed during Trump's first term, wrote in the October 4th ruling, "This historical tradition boils down to a simple proposition. This is a nation of constitutional law, not martial law." New Bedford firefighter is disciplined for Kirk comment. Frank Mulligan, The Standard Times, USA Today Network. A firefighter has been disciplined for violating the city's social media policy after making a Facebook comment on slain political activist Charlie Kirk. Chief Brian Medeiros issued the following statement. Following an independent investigation, firefighter Jonathan C. Pacheco was disciplined for violating the city's social media policy and fire department standard operating procedures. Neither the NBFD nor the city disclosed specific sanctions imposed on employees, but I can confirm that the sanctions in this case were imposed after required negotiations with the International Association of Firefighters Local 841. Pacheco was placed on paid administrative leave on September 15th after a reference to Kirk on Pacheco's Facebook page appeared as a screenshot on social media networking platform X. The X post included information on how to contact the New Bedford Fire Department to complain about the comment. And we end our reading today with People in the News. Swift to debut Eras Tour finale docuseries December 12th on Disney+. Pop superstar Taylor Swift will release a concert film and 6-part documentary series that chronicles her record-breaking Eras Tour on Disney Plus on December 12th. The singer announced October 13th Disney Plus, which streamed an earlier cut of the Eras Tour film this year, is deepening its collaboration with Swift, leaning into exclusive live music and the pop superstar's large devoted global fan base to attract new subscribers in a competitive market. In a post on X, Swift said the Eras Tour, the final show, will feature the full performance from her last tour stop in Vancouver, including the live set for her album, The Tortured Poets Department. Disney Plus will also release a 6-part docuseries titled The End of an Era, offering a behind-the-scenes view of what Swift called the most important and intense chapter of her career. The series will be released in batches of 2 episodes on December 12th, 19th, and 26th. The Eras Tour, which began in March 2023 and spanned Swift's 2-decade catalog, became the highest-grossing concert tour in history after generating more than $2 billion in ticket sales. Obama offers Maron advice on comedian's last podcast episode. Barack Obama is teaching Marc Maron how to say goodbye. The former president joined the comedian on the final episode of Maron's long-running WTF podcast released October 13th. During the conversation, Obama gave Maron advice on his next steps, reflecting on his own experience of the departing presidency in 2017. "You've still got a couple of chapters left," Obama told Maron. "Somebody gave me advice right before I was leaving office, and it was, don't rush into what the next thing is. Take a beat. Take some satisfaction looking backwards and saying, you know what? I didn't get everything done that I wanted, and it wasn't always exactly how I planned it, but there's a body of work there that I'm proud of." We've reached the end of our reading for today, Wednesday, October 15th, 2025 of the New Bedford Standard Times. This is Denise. Have a great day.